Lots of people moving to Oregon, lots of people leaving Oregon as well. In this video, we're going to dig into some of those numbers and how those are going to impact the Oregon real estate market in 2023. All that starts now. Hey everyone, Seth Marchant with the Home Team Brokers here. Welcome back to the channel, Living in Oregon. And if you're new to this channel, Living in Oregon, you'd like to know more about what it's like to live here, hit the subscribe button and tap the bell. That way you'll be notified every time we drop a new video, which is every week. And if you're somebody that's thinking about moving here as licensed brokers in the state of Oregon, we are here to help you. If you're thinking about taking the next steps, if you have questions, you can call, text, email, or click the link below in the description if you want to schedule a Zoom with us. So we get a lot of people just like you asking us, are you still getting buyers, still getting phone calls? Are you still getting people reaching out to you that are moving to Oregon? And the answer is yes. The real estate market has slowed a bit as it does in the wintertime, not just due to the season, but also due to interest rates. But thanks to this channel, we do still get a lot of people reaching out to us. And there are a lot of cash buyers out there that aren't affected by rates. So great time, great opportunity for those people to take advantage of the market and kind of the correction that we're seeing right now. An analysis by the Portland Business Journal found that population growth for the Portland metro area for Portland last year grew just 0.1%, which is dramatically lower than previous years. The past few decades was closer to like 1.5%. So like throughout the 2000s, you're looking at 1.5%. The 90s was closer to 3%. And the US Census Bureau says that population growth just went up 0.1%, which is at the lowest in the history of this country. Some of the factors they cited were fewer international migrations, higher mortality rates due to COVID, along with decreased birth rates. And the US Census Bureau also said that the city of Portland proper, this being Multnomah County, lost about 11,000 residents last year. And they lost about 2,000 people, according to the IRS, 2,000 taxpayers. So not great for Portland, not great for Multnomah County. Where do some of those people go? Data from the IRS shows that most of those people, or the biggest chunk of those people, went to Clackamas County, followed by Washington County. So Portland, the Portland metro area is a tri-county area, Multnomah, Clackamas, and Washington County. Washington County and Clackamas County being more suburbs. And then just after that, Clark County, which is on the other side of the river in Washington. They're big, their most populous town is Vancouver. In 2021, the net migration for Oregon was almost 25,000 people, a little bit lower than past year. It's about the past decade or so, it was closer to about 31,000 people. And California was by far the greatest contributor to that. There was actually about 42,000 people that moved from California to Oregon. And then there was about 20,000 people, just over 20,000 people that moved from Oregon to California. So the big chunk of that 25,000 people, that being about 22,000 people coming from California. Now the states that people moved to away from Oregon, most commonly, like I just mentioned, aside from California, were Arizona and Texas. And interestingly enough, those are the three places that we typically get calls from the most: California, Texas, and Arizona. Usually people trying to escape the heat, it's usually something to do with the weather. Other times has to do with costs, especially if you're coming from California. It's usually something cost related. So people are moving to Oregon, people are moving to Portland, but more so than that, we're seeing people both out of state and in state moving to the suburbs of Portland, Clackamas, and Washington County. Oftentimes the people that call us, like you Californians, are oftentimes looking in those suburbs in Clackamas and Washington County, not so much looking in Multnomah County. Now this isn't unique to Portland. There's been a little bit of an exodus from a lot of major cities throughout the country, people moving to the suburbs. A lot of this perpetuated by the pandemic and lockdowns, COVID, which perpetuated remote work. Now that people have the freedom to move around and needing a little bit more space, usually it's going to be more expensive to be in the city, right? So moving outside of the city, you can either get a little bit more for your dollar, or you can also find something maybe a little bit bigger, find some office space so you can work from home a little bit more efficiently, as opposed to maybe sharing a smaller space in a major city. And one of the great things about the suburbs in Portland, if you know anything about Portland, you kind of know that we have sort of a foodie culture. We're known for our food, beer, and wine. I have a ton of great restaurants in Portland, a ton of great brewers around here, but those were kind of in the past mostly condensed to Portland. Whereas now we've seen some of these restaurants and some of these brewers either move outside of Multnomah County to Washington, Clackamas County, or just open up second or an additional location out in the suburbs. I think most people living in the suburbs of the Portland metro area are going to have most of what they want, most of the amenities, the restaurants that they want. And if they don't have what they want, one of the great things is it's not too spread out here to where you're going to be so far away that you can't go to Portland. If you want to go to Portland for some reason, like say maybe for a Blazer game, most places in the Portland metropolitan area in the suburbs are going to be within about a 30-minute drive of Portland. So why do people move here? Jobs, of course, a big one. We have a very strong and diverse economy here with a mix of industries from tech to healthcare, to manufacturing, a lot of apparel companies here. We've got Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Columbia. For tech, we've got Intel, Boeing's got a location here. OHSU, Oregon Health and Sciences University, employs about 20,000 people. There's a lot of great job opportunities, low unemployment as well. But of course, aside from the jobs, one of the main reasons that people move here is just simply its beauty and the quality of life being higher than the places that people are coming from. We've got a ton of outdoor recreational things to do when it's not raining. Oregon, Portland is an amazing playground. It is really rare in the sense that there's not a whole lot of places in the country or probably really in the world that you're just over an hour away from skiing in one direction to the east on Mount Hood and just over an hour away and surfing on the Oregon coast. Now, not a lot of people surfing on the Oregon coast, right? But you don't have that kind of dynamic very many places in the world where you can go from skiing to surfing within a couple of hours. And then just to the south of us, we have an amazing wine country as well. Another reason people are moving here, big one, housing costs. Now, Oregon isn't going to be the cheapest place to live in the country, but again, coming from California, definitely going to be a lot cheaper from California, and that's where a lot of the cash from California comes. People have so much equity in their homes in California that they have enough cash to actually buy a house outright in Oregon. Not super uncommon. Now, if you're coming from Texas or Arizona, that might be a little bit different story. It's going to be more expensive coming from Arizona. Texas, going to depend on where you're coming from. Going to be a little bit less if you're coming from Austin. It's going to be a lot more if you're coming from San Antonio. And one of the other great things about Portland is our proximity to other major cities. There's a lot of people that have family up and down the West Coast, and you want to stay close to that family in Seattle to the north or in San Francisco to the south. And Portland is really kind of the perfect place to do that. Now, this one isn't necessarily a reason why people move here, but Portland is a great place for dog people. Now, of course, a dog can be like a child, to some people. And some people really do factor that into their move, making sure that they're moving a place where their dog's going to be comfortable and happy. And there was actually an article, you can watch our video on dogs. There was an article that came out recently that said Portland was the #1 city in the country for dog owners. And that's because we have a ton of great parks, ton of great dog parks. There is sort of a dog culture here. Restaurants cater to dogs. There's a lot of places you can go eat and take your dog. There's a lot of places that you can go and be active with your dog. You'll see a lot of people out walking their dogs around Portland, Oregon. And we get a lot of people reaching out to us that work remotely. Probably at least around half of the people that reach out to us, if it's a couple, at least one of the people is currently working remotely and has that flexibility to go where they want to go. And when people are looking up some of the best places to live in the country, despite some of the downfalls that Portland has had in the last few years, which they're currently working on, we all think that they're going to be able to fix, Portland still remains one of the top places to live in the country. Now, here's another reason somebody gave me recently that we helped move here, why they moved here, was because they said that based on their research that Portland, or more specifically the Pacific Northwest, was one of the top places to move to as far as how climate change is going to impact things in the next 10 or 20 years. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know how much climate change is going to impact things or where the best places are going to be, but I will kind of say anecdotally, in a lot of ways, our weather has actually been kind of better the last couple years. In fact, this past summer that we had, I would say is probably our best summer ever. Usually summer in Oregon tends to kind of end around early September. That's when the clouds kind of start to roll in consistently. It starts to rain pretty consistently. This year, we almost went up until Halloween. We're talking like mid-October to late October before it really started getting cloudy and raining. Now, it did rain on Halloween this year, unfortunately for the kids, but it was a really long, dry summer. Now, that's not good for some people. If you're in California, obviously the drought, the dryness, that's a huge problem for you. Us Oregonians, with all the rain that we get, we always feel like we can use a little bit more sun. So for the 2023 real estate market, Portland should remain fairly strong. Some of the places that are really going to struggle are the places that saw the most amount of growth. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, right? So places like Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, specifically Scottsdale, Boise, Idaho. Those are some of the places that saw the greatest growth in the last couple of years, and now we're seeing the biggest correction. Like I've said, Portland, Multnomah County, Portland proper, struggling a little bit, but the suburbs are very, very robust. And again, that's where a lot of people that are reaching out to us are typically looking to move to anyways. And we expect that to be true in 2023. Don't expect a whole lot of home value growth in 2023, but don't expect that correction to continue. Don't expect home values to go down. Where we stand right now for the Portland metropolitan area, at the end of 2022, we are pretty close to where we started in Q1 of 2022 and in January. So home prices have corrected quite a bit, but with the continued growth, the popularity of the area, and there's a lot of buyers out there that aren't affected by rates, I'm expecting growth to be somewhere just around neutral, 0%, maybe 1%, something like that for 2023, but probably going to be a little bit stronger in the suburbs in Clackamas County and Washington County as people from outside of the state continue to move to those areas, and then people in Multnomah County and Portland continue to move to those areas as well. If this video helped you, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment if you have any questions, and if you're somebody that's thinking about taking the next steps, or if you want to move to Oregon, if you have questions, you can call us, text us, email us, or click the link below in the description to schedule a Zoom. And make sure and subscribe to this video if you want to see more videos about what it's like to live in Oregon and what the real estate market is like. Until next time, take care, everyone.